So for me, she became the symbol of feminism for me. She was the ultimate woman because she fulfilled everything that she is expected to fulfill, but she was never a part of that nonsense. She was always beyond that. So let's tell one of her stories just to… Yes, absolutely. My great-grandmother lived to be 113, 113 years of age. Now, when she was 65 or 66, I think her husband passed away around that time. And after that, after 2-3 years, around 60, when she was 68, she decided she will move out of the home where she was living. It's a very large household, very, land-owning family, big land-owning family. So she moved out and built a small temple, not for any god, but for herself. She is that kind of a woman. People used to say she's a devil of a woman, not because she harmed anybody, she did anything, simply because she wouldn't die. She just wouldn't die. Everybody thought her husband died, some of her children died. I think all of her children died before she went. And some of her grandchildren died, a few great-grandchildren died, but she just won't die. So… and another reason why they called her a devil is because she would laugh. If she laughed, a hoot of laughter, the whole street would shake. Those days, women were not supposed to laugh so loudly. They were supposed to laugh in a controlled way, hee. Beyond that, they're not supposed to laugh. I don't know how men lived with women who cannot laugh. But it was so, they were not supposed to laugh, but this woman could not control. When she laughed crazy. So they said she laughs like a devil. So I started thinking, oh, devil is the laughing one, what does the god do? Nobody ever talked about him laughing. So, all this. Anyway, she lived a very ecstatic life in the sense, she would be sitting and when I saw her, she's over 100 years of age. She had hair right below her knees flowing, huge amount of hair, and tears flowing from her eyes and laughing and sometimes singing, sometimes dancing, over 104, 105 years of age at that time, dancing wildly and tears and laughter. When she is in the puja room, I could go and do what I want. I would displace all the gods and I sit there. She's okay with that. With anybody else, they would kill you. But she was fine with anything. And she would take flowers with her feet and throw it to the gods like that. So, as wild as she was so sensitive to life that, when she was living out, but when we children went, she would come to see us. In the morning, if you give her breakfast, so if they gave her breakfast, she would take this and feed it to the ants, to the sparrows, to the squirrels, and she would simply sit there. Certain people who had assumed that they are her self-appointed advisors, they would come and tell her, you old woman, you don't eat anything, you will die one day like this, without eating. They all died. She lived on. And sometimes I asked her, she would sit there with tears flowing, looking at the ants. I thought, why is she so emotional about the ants? I was like maybe 5-6 years of age. I was going about stamping all the ants. I thought they were a good game to stamp. But she would be having tears feeding the ants. I thought she's very emotional about these ants, but never she stopped me from doing my job of stamping the ants. But she would be watching the ants and tears flowing out. Then one day I asked her, why are you so emotional about these ants? What is your problem? She laughed and she said, one day you will know. It took me over 20 years to realize what she said. For me to experience what it is to be knowing life beyond the limitations of your own physicality and your psychological structure, to know life as it is happening right now. that this is a living cosmos. Either you are a part of it or you live here, you versus cosmos. You versus cosmos is a stupid competition to get into. Hello? You versus cosmos is an absolutely idiotic competition to get into. But this is how it is. If you are committed to your identity of being an individual, unknowingly you have become you versus the cosmos. You're talking about one's insecurities, anxieties, sufferings, all this is just this. You are you versus cosmos, you have to suffer, how else? So to realize that your body and mind, your physiological structure and psychological structure is not a trap, it is a possibility to go beyond. To realize that it took over 20 years for me after she said those words, but this is the power of storytelling, that it takes you beyond the logic of your psychological structure. And when we sat there listening to her, though I didn't believe a word of what she was saying, I knew she never met these Rajkumaris and Rajkumaras and their hair and stuff, she was probably talking about her own hair. But the important thing is, she grabbed our eyeballs, absolutely, absolutely. And that was the only function, really. She grabbed without uttering one endearment, without telling I love you, without even hugging you or kissing you or anything. She just grabbed us and made us a part of herself. This is the power of storytelling. So that's how I experienced storytelling. Every summer we were just waiting to get back there. But I saw her only consciously, probably only 5-6 years after that, at the age of 113. Till the last day, she was completely independent. At the age of 111, she got throat cancer because in those days, women were allowed to use tobacco only after they got married. Before marriage, they could not use tobacco, but after marriage, they could use. So she got married at the age of 14. On the very first day, she exercised her right. From that day onwards, she's been chewing tobacco. 99 years she chewed tobacco. At the age of 111, she got throat cancer. She refused to go to the doctor, she refused to take painkillers, she refused to be treated. About 1.5 to 2 years she suffered, it was swollen like that. I saw her in that condition, she couldn't speak, but she simply sat there without medication, without painkillers. And after 2 years of that extreme pain, she left. Until the last day, whatever she needed, she was doing for herself, living in her own temple. A temple not for a god, but for herself, because she felt she deserves a temple.